DJ Holy Foe. Yo.
You're locked into Point 5 Creative Studios, where Africa's stories aren't just told, they're produced. News, politics, entertainment, films that move the continent. We bring the truth, the fire, the creativity. Your world, powered by African storytelling. Point 5 Creative Studios. Point 5 Creative Studios. Point 5 Creative Studios. Point 5 Creative Studios. Point 5 Creative Studios.
Paul Tungwarara is a political retard. Something is obviously very wrong with him. He has some sort of psychological injury or death wish, one of the two. But what I think everyone is missing is just how dangerous his stupidity can get. Paul Tungwarara is the definition of political infiltration. The most dangerous man in Zimbabwean politics right now. More dangerous than anybody in the opposition. Is more dangerous than anybody in exile who is plotting in Johannesburg, in London, or in Washington. Tungwarara is right here in Harare, wearing ZANU PF regalia, showing and proving precisely why the rules of escalation in ZANU PF were the way they were. Paul Tungwarara is systematically destroying the president's ecosystem in the president's name. What I want to do is show you the sophisticated infiltration pattern that is operating in Zimbabwe today. This is not crude sabotage or open rebellion as we're used to seeing it. It's something far more dangerous. Someone who has positioned themselves as a presidential advisor while attacking the president's wife, attacking the president's permanent secretary of finance, the president's ambassador at large, the president's spiritual advisor, the president's land reform program chairperson, the president's party commissariat. Everyone the president appoints or trusts, all of them become targets, all of them become undermined, all of them in the name of loyalty. Yeah, this is the final form of infiltration. Paul Tungwarara is giving us a class act of how to sabotage your own party unnecessarily. Do you guys remember Energy Mutori, the guy who would attack the institution from the inside? That was amateur, of course, because he was loud, he was obvious, and he got fired. What Tungwarara is doing is very different. You see, Mutori wore the agenda on his sleeve. Tungwarara wraps the agenda in a flag, the president's flag, and he comes out as the president's advisor, President's Empowerment Fund. I am doing this for the president. The uniform is loyalty. The weapon is chaos. This is what makes Tungwarara a genius in his stupidity. The attacks are never directed outward. The attacks are never at the opposition. The attacks are never at hostile media. The attacks are never at sanctions architects. They're always inward at the people that the president himself put in place. I want you to think about that. If I told you that someone was attacking the first lady, the president's treasurer, the president's ambassador at large, the party commissariat, and the president's personal pastor, you would say that that is an enemy of the state, no? But what if that person also shouts EDP loud enough, in fact louder than everybody else? Yeah, that's infiltration at the highest level. I want to explain how Tungwarara picks his targets. If you look at who he attacks, Tungwarara does not attack failures, he does not attack incompetence. The people who are actually delivering are his target. He attacks George Guvamatanga. Under George's tenure as permanent secretary, foreign currency reserves went from 200 million to 1 billion. Gold reserves increased. We now have a structured currency framework of the ZIG, which is work in progress, but these are not random outcomes. These are stated presidential priorities. This is what the president asked for. And this is what Tungwarara attacks. Why? Because functional institutions expose infiltrators. Chaos is an infiltrator's oxygen. Order suffocates an infiltrator. So he needs to create chaos in order for him to survive. An infiltrator needs to be needed. Delivery must always be called theft, and the people who are building the president's legacy must always be destroyed in the president's name. Tungwarara is putting together a shadow state. And this is where I think it gets very dangerous. Paul Tungwarara holds no elected office. He holds no statutory authority. But if you watch him operate, he announces investigations, he makes judgments. Public officials are summoned, not to parliament and not to court, to the court of Paul Tungwarara. He runs a presidential empowerment fund, which is language that is designed to sound official. He has presidential proximity. This is parallel authority. Tungwarara has rallies, donations, spectacles, not in the service of the state, but in the service of personal political ascent. And he's not pretending to be random. Central Committee, then he wants to go to the Politburo. In ZANU-PF, the order is well known. And the loudest shouters of loyalty in politics are often the people with the strongest appetite for succession. That's it. I said what I said. Let me break down what the weapon is. Every accusation follows the same template. If you listen to Tungwarara, he never talks about incompetence. He never talks about policy disagreement. It's always corruption. Why? Because corruption accusations don't require proof to destroy credibility. They can't be conclusively disproved. They trigger automatic public distrust. And when evidence is requested, you can be vague. You can say investigations are ongoing. There's no documents, no figures, no timelines. The accusation is the payload. The objective is not accountability. The objective is permanent suspicion. Once the mud sticks, the truth is very irrelevant in politics. You must apply the dominance test to really figure this guy out. Notice who he targets. It's never his equals, never subordinates, only people who are higher in authority than he is. Each attack is a probe. Will you respond? Will you push back? Will the institutions defend themselves? Tungwarara is performing a dominance test. Zimbabwe has seen this pattern before. Grace Mugabe did it with structural power. Energy Mutori tried it with the government platform. Maliswa tried it with the parliamentary immunity. Paul Tungwarara has nothing, no office, no mandate, yet unrestricted aggression when individuals without authority can attack everybody and anybody with authority, and they face no consequences. The institution itself is already compromised. Here's how you identify an infiltrator. Ask one question. After every intervention, who gains power? So after Paul Tungwarara attacks George, who gains? Not the president, not treasury, not the people. Paul Tungwarara gains. After he drags the first lady into public conflict, who gains? Not Amai, not the charitable programs, not ZANU-PF, Barara. After he destabilizes the party commissariat, who gains? Not the party structures, not the grassroots, not the election machinery, Tungwarara. Everyone else becomes weaker and he consolidates. And that's not a coincidence, that is the plan and the strategy. If he was a genuine ally, he would build up the principle. A genuine ally reduces confusion. A genuine ally strengthens the team. An infiltrator tears down everybody except himself and then presents himself as the last man standing. Look at the chaos. Only I can fix it because you created it, you idiot. I want you to take a step back and look at the board. Technocrats are weakened. Diplomats are undermined. Spiritual advisors get attacked. The first lady gets dragged into conflict. The party structures get destabilized. Who is left standing? Only the man creating the noise. That's not political reform. That's systematic erosion. That's kind of what plants do. The president is always going to be left in a manufactured lose-lose from this point onwards, because if he tries to defend, he's going to come out defensive. If he stays silent, he's going to look complicit. Every outcome weakens institutional coherence. In clarity, Tungwarara will get exposed. In chaos, Tungwarara is indispensable. I am going to leave you with this. Every leader faces this threat eventually. Someone who claims to defend you while dismantling your entire ecosystem. Someone who shouts loyalty while attacking your wife, your advisors, your envoys, your political party. The most dangerous enemy is not the one who opposes you out in the open. The most dangerous enemy is the one who destroys you in your name. The bullet that comes from behind, wearing your uniform, shouting your slogans, undermining everybody that you trust in your name. Paul Tungwarara is not a defender of the president. He is a saboteur wrapped in the flag. And the longer the pattern continues unchecked, the weaker the institution that's supposed to rein him in is going to become. And that's not my opinion, that's the pattern. And patterns don't lie. Until next time, head back.